Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cutting through the buzzwords we always hear about the cloud, like it's some invisible, abstract magic, right? But actually, we're going to look at the highly structured, meticulously engineered blueprint of how platforms like Microsoft Azure actually handle mind-boggling amounts of data. It's literally a masterclass in organization, survival, and efficiency. By the time we wrap up, you're going to look at your digital footprint in a totally different way.
All right, let's just jump right in. Here's our roadmap for today. First, organizing by data type. Second, surviving disasters with redundancy. And third, the data lifecycle tiers. Before we tackle those three pillars, let's get our definitions straight. Cloud storage architecture, it isn't just plugging a bunch of hard drives into a server rack and hoping for the best. No, it's a systematic, highly engineered strategy used by platforms like Azure to store, manage, protect, and really optimize massive loads of data. You need a precise blueprint if you want to deliver high performance, limitless scalability, and foolproof disaster recovery.
Okay, pillar number 1, organizing by data type, essentially matching the data to the right environment.
Think about when your data actually arrives in the cloud. Do you think it just gets tossed randomly into some giant digital warehouse? Ask yourself, does all that data just go into one big box? Whether it's your weekend family photos, a massive corporation's accounting database, or just a smart thermostat pinging a temperature check, does all of that get dumped in the exact same bucket?
Well, absolutely not. The answer is a resounding no. The cloud sorts everything by variety. Before a single byte is even stored, Azure checks the exact type of data to figure out its perfect destination. And honestly, this is absolutely crucial for speed and management down the line. Let's break down how this actually works in the real world. Azure uses 5 distinct storage types to handle all this variety. First up, Blob Storage. This is built specifically for massive, unorganized media, stuff like raw images and videos. Next is file storage. Think of a multinational company where remote workers all over the globe need to access and share standard text files from one central hub. Then we have queue storage. This one's fascinating. Imagine a huge concert just ended. Thousands of people open up their Uber or Ola apps at the exact same second to get a ride. That absolute flood of asynchronous messages, it needs to be held and processed without crashing the entire system. Queue storage safely parks those requests until the algorithm can match them to drivers. Next is table storage, which is for schemaless data. Picture an IoT company with temperature sensors everywhere, just constantly firing off tiny, continuous updates. They don't need a heavy database for that. They just need a fast, simple key-value table. And finally, disk storage. This is for your highly structured traditional SQL databases. The takeaway here? Every single piece of data has a very specific, tailored home.
Moving on to pillar number 2, surviving disasters with redundancy. This is all about engineering for worst-case scenarios. Look, organizing data beautifully is great, but it's completely useless if it doesn't survive. Cloud engineers don't build for sunny days. They are obsessed with chasing maximum nines availability. We're talking 99.999% uptime. The whole goal is to guarantee your data is almost never offline, no matter if there's a power grid failure, a natural disaster, or a random hardware malfunction. And to actually hit those elusive nines, they rely on one golden rule. Redundancy is the single most important factor in the cloud. Keeping multiple copies of the exact same data spread across totally different physical locations, that's the ultimate secret to surviving a catastrophic failure. Azure actually has a very strict baseline rule for this, and it all revolves around the number 3. Every single piece of data you store in the cloud must have a minimum of 3 redundant copies within a single region. No exceptions. Let's put that into perspective for a second, because the physical scale of this is wild. If you upload 1 terabyte of data, the cloud provider actually has to spin up 3 terabytes of physical storage just for you. Just try to visualize the sheer size of the server farms around the world needed to hit that absolute bare minimum baseline of safety. It's staggering. So this creates what we can call an escalation of survival. Say one physical data center literally burns down or loses power. Azure doesn't miss a beat. It immediately pulls your exact same data from another data center within that zone. If that entire zone gets wiped out and goes completely offline, it pulls from another region entirely. This multi-layered intra-region safety net creates absolute seamless availability. In fact, most of the time, if a massive hardware failure happens, you, sitting at your laptop, won't even notice a blip. All right, let's hit our third and final pillar, the data lifecycle tiers, balancing speed and cost. Okay, so we've neatly organized the data, and we've basically ensured it can survive the apocalypse. But think about the long-term journey of your files. Ask yourself, is every single piece of data equally important? If Azure treated a 5-year-old archived PDF with the exact same urgency as an active live credit card transaction, the infrastructure costs would just go through the roof. It'd be wildly inefficient. Because of that inefficiency, data gets VIP treatment based purely on access frequency. It's kind of like how a club treats VIPs versus the general public. As data ages and gets accessed less, the cloud literally shifts it physically to different types of storage. It saves a massive amount of money, while keeping the performance blazing fast right where it matters most.
Let's use something we all deal with every day to make sense of this timeline: your email inbox. When a new email hits your inbox today, it goes straight to the hot tier. You're probably going to open it right now, so it lives on lightning-fast SSDs, using caching on the absolute nearest server, so it loads instantly. But say a few weeks pass, you never clicked it. The system automatically demotes it to the cold tier, moving it off those pricey SSDs and onto standard hard disks. Still accessible, just, slightly less prioritized. Now skip ahead a full year. You haven't looked at that email once. It gets automatically dumped into the archive tier. And here's the crazy part. At this stage, it's actually stored on magnetic tape drives. Seriously, physical tape. It's dirt cheap to maintain. Sure, if you search for that old email, it might take a tiny fraction of a second longer to load, but the cost savings are huge. So the whole thing really boils down to this financial trade-off. Pouring money into high-cost SSDs totally makes sense for the hot tier, right? Immediate retrieval is just non-negotiable for a good user experience. But using those low-cost tape drives for the archive tier, that saves providers mind-boggling amounts of money on infrastructure for old, dusty data that almost never gets touched. It really is this elegant, automated balancing act. Now, we've been using Azure as our main example throughout this explainer, but here's a key takeaway. This blueprint is universal. Whether you're running on Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, they're all operating on this exact same structural playbook. They all sort by data types, they all enforce super strict geographic redundancy rules, and they all use lifecycle tiering to keep costs in check. The marketing names might change, but the core architectural logic, exactly the same.
The cloud really is a marvel of modern engineering. It just operates silently in the background of our lives, sorting, protecting, and optimizing every second of every day. So I want to leave you with a quick thought about your own digital footprint. Which tier is your most critical data sitting in right now? And based on what we just went over regarding physical zones and regions, is your personal backup strategy truly resilient? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep exploring the hidden structures that power our digital world, and I'll catch you next time.